Dude, for the last time, his name is not Zelda, it's Link. You always play as Link, never as Zelda.
Then why is the game called Zelda and why does he look so feminine?
Zelda is a girl, but no, that's Linkle.
Didn't you play as Linkle in one of your Zelda games on your computer?
No, that's Zelda.
I thought you said you never played as Zelda.
I give up. For the longest time, you would play as Link, so here's the only Zelda game where you play as Zelda. No, get those out of here. I don't know what those are. Get out of here. Okay, honestly, I've never played the CDI Zelda games, but I might as well talk very briefly about them since you play as Zelda in them. I believe 100% that you should play a game for yourself to see if it's good or bad, but with these, I mean...
Just look at him.
Thanks, you saved me.
He talks like a fag, too.
I mean, I don't think the gameplay graphics look that bad. Okay, I don't like how Zelda's Adventure looks in gameplay. The digitized sprites are not as animated as in Donkey Kong Country and the first Mortal Kombat games. Nintendo knew what they were doing with Link to the Past, even considering Link's pink hair. The cutscenes in Wand of Gamelon look animated in Microsoft Paint, where it's really pixelated and no shading, unlike in gameplay where it actually doesn't look that bad, but the voice acting is really terrible, as you just heard. I know, I'm not the first to say that. The bass line in some of the music is really catchy though. I will not lie, I do like Sonic 06, and I actually do like the Water Temple and Ocarina of Time. These games though, I've seen reviews from the Angry Video Game Nerd and Peanut Butter Gamer. I try my best to avoid saying this, and hopefully this is the only time I do, but do you need to play these to know if they suck that bad? With the cringy cutscenes, bad controls, and on a console that apparently hardly works? With that being said, Echoes of Wisdom is the only good Zelda where you play as Zelda, unless you count Hyrule Warriors, which is also good. Now, to stick to the topic of today's video, you do start out playing as Link, but he is not the main character this time. Link has his usual arsenal, that being his sword, shield, bow, and bombs right out of the gate. Just minutes later, you fight Ganon, who would normally be a final boss. So basically, this game begins what would normally be at the end of Link's journey. Our hero defeats Ganon, only he gets swallowed into a void, therefore he actually is defeated at the last second. Zelda breaks free from her diamond cage after Link nicks it with the arrow, thus you are now in control of Zelda for the rest of the game.
So when does it become open world?
I'm getting to that. If you've only played Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, or both, you need to know that I would not call this an open world game, as the world is not unrestricted like Breath of the Wild. The game goes back to its more classic roots. It's a top-down Zelda game like that of A Link to the Past. You can explore, but there are places that only open up as you make your way through the main scenario. Don't get me wrong, there is some player agency in how you explore the world, and just to keep this without spoilers, you see those yellow markings? Those are the main scenario quests, and you can choose which one you want to go to first. There is 4 at once. It's 3 actually, I don't know how I made this mistake. It's on the map later, giving you more choices, but to get to those, you have to do both of these 2 first. Now, how does Zelda play? Longtime fans know Link is up close and personal with his sword and attacks enemies head on, hence he's the one of courage, although he can do from a distance too, given his bow. Zelda, on the other hand, meets a floating creature named Tri, who gives her the Tri Rod. This allows Zelda to duplicate objects and enemies. I would say this is a Breath of the Wild-ish mechanic, as there is a lot to copy and use, giving the player a lot of freedom on how to use this. This is limited by what you find and how many triangles float behind try. I'll talk more about my go-to copy abilities in the spoiler section, but I definitely created stairs by stacking beds on top of each other non-stop from beginning to end. This changes combat too, actually. I thought I was going to miss the simplicity of a sword really bad when this game was first announced, but actually I was at ease when you could actually temporarily play like Link with his more aggressive playstyle, but again, it's limited by this meter here. How Zelda attacks is have enemies attack other enemies, basically. Would I be the only one who would recopy my clone, Echo, because I think he attacks faster? No, just me? Okay. Classic-ish dungeons are back too. One reason why I would be more of an Ocarina of Time than a Breath of the Wild guy is because Breath of the Wild really de-emphasized dungeons, whereas I really enjoy them in Ocarina. Although, considering it's top-down, it's more like dungeons of Link to the Past. With going into rooms, clearing out the dungeon map, opening chests, unlocking doors, you get the idea. When I came across Link, or a copy of him rather, my one request going into this fight was please don't be easy. I've been playing as Link since childhood and it would be an insult to the character. But I gotta say, this was a bit of a surreal experience. It was like, I don't know, having a Freaky Friday, waking up as someone else, going up to yourself to fight, only your gifts and talents are used against you and you no longer have your own, so you have to approach the fight differently, if that makes sense. Well, that's exactly what's going on here. You have to be smart against Link. I ended up beating him by flanking him with my echoes though. My one big problem with this game though is, do you see the D-pad on the left side of the screen below your sword meter and health? Right on the D-pad is echoes and you use that to select which one to use. When I got to the end of the game, I had a long horizontal menu of echoes to choose from, and there are 127 echoes to get in this game. The down and left arrows have nothing mapped to them. I think menu navigation would be so much better if it had enemies mapped to one of those other directions rather than every freaking one on the right of the D-pad. Seriously, there are 93 enemies that could be cloned as echoes. Nintendo might as well divide that up again and map it to the spare D-pad direction. But overall, I really enjoyed this game, and that's really the only problem I had with it. Now for spoilers. There's actually not too many spoilers I want to go over this time around. One thing I found interesting right out of the gate is in past Zelda games, you would go into Castletown as Link and no one would know who he is. Coming into Castletown as Zelda on the other hand, and everyone says, "Oh Zelda, are you okay? We were so worried about you." Yeah, being the Princess of Hyrule would make the return a big deal. But then a void opens up. The king and his associates get sucked in, they come back out. Wait, they come back out? No, actually their evil clones come out and blame Zelda for a crime she did not commit, so now Zelda is off on an adventure. The Gerudo tribe does not make many appearances in the Zelda franchise, but here it's different to play as a woman and just walk into their village freely. Zoras are my favorite race in Zelda, and man, they remembered their Zora designs for A Link to the Past. I definitely did this part of the main scenario as soon as possible, as I was definitely really into the idea of Zoras from both Ocarina and Link to the Past coming together for this game. Not only are they Zoras, but they are different races of Zoras. Link, on the other hand, they gave him a plot reason to not talk as he lost his voice. Okay, maybe Nintendo is afraid of having Link talk because of the CDI games and that cartoon from the 90s, but I look at the Persona protagonist and maybe I'm in the minority here, but maybe Nintendo should take notes from them and give Link a voice. Byleth was silent in 3 houses, but then they gave him a voice in Engage, and to my knowledge, no one complained about that. I really should make a video on this. The echoes that really stand out in my mind are Plat Boom to help me reach higher places, and this level 3 Moblin that I found, as he was pretty strong. I used him a lot for combat. Also, I really like this cat suit for Zelda. It's so adorable. adorable and I can even talk to cats. To wrap up the plot, the story behind the voids is, in the beginning, there was nothing. Noel came to be and he wanted to consume the entire world. Why? Well, it would matter more if he was a human or a being with complex intelligence, but it hardly matters. Other things that existed with him were just that, things. Hey, that's what the game said. That would be consumed by bigger things. Din, Nehru, and Furor, as long as I've been playing Zelda, I've never heard those names pronounced. Imprisoned Noel to have a world to exist, and other tribes were created to prevent Noel from being a threat. The final boss is Noel, and like fighting Link, this was also a unique experience. You team up with Link, and it's like you're the supporting character helping the main hero beat the villain. This was interesting. Definitely interesting. I say some not so favorable things about the soundtrack, but I do forget later to say that this is a good final boss song that's playing. Noel is defeated and everything's back to normal. I find it interesting that Nintendo uses different art styles for Zelda as it makes each game feel unique. This one in particular uses the art style from the Link's Awakening remake. Hold on. I said I'd do a review of Ocarina of Time once I hit 100 subscribers, and I still haven't done it yet. Man, that was an earlier review I did for the channel. I do like this art style, and now Nintendo, can we please get remakes of Oracle of Seasons and Ages? Ages is one of my favorite top-down Zeldas, even more so than A Link to the Past. I do have a praise and a criticism together, though. I do like how the soundtrack is more emphasized than Breath of the Wild and its sequel. However, I also do not really like it as much as other Zelda game. Well, excuse me. Don't get me wrong, I love Zelda music. I've been waiting for soundtracks to Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Minish Cap, Link to the Past, etc. to come to Nintendo Music ever since that app came out. I did get excited when I started hearing Zelda's Lullaby in the Overworld theme, but then after that though, I can only remember that theme simply because I heard it so many times throughout the adventure. There's hardly anything else that really stands out, and I hate that I have this opinion on a Zelda game. Again, good art style as well as sound design. I will give this game an A. It is a good twist on classic Zelda, and while I would not say it is a top 10 favorite Zelda, Zelda is such a good series to where even a least favorite of mine is worth looking at playing. Of course, Nintendo does not acknowledge the CDI games, and neither will we once this video is over. Zelda provides a unique gameplay style that's so different from Link, but they made it work really well. I am a bit bummed that I don't like the music as much as other games in the series, but I do like that it's more emphasized like in the classic games than Breath of the Wild. Also, menu navigation can and should be better. I am glad Nintendo made this because considering they will pursue open world Zelda going forward, I am grateful this means we have not seen the last of classic Zelda. There probably won't be new 3D Zeldas like Ocarina of Time, which I find sad. I mean, open world Zelda is good, don't get me wrong, but hey, we have not seen the last of top-down Zelda. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. With that being said, have a good night and take care.